After I gave birth, my husband's family filled the hospital room while I was still bleeding. His aunt said loudly, "You should have had a boy. Girls just drain you." My mother-in-law added, "She's always been too fragile for a real labor." I lay there, numb. Days later, they threw a welcome baby party and didn't invite me. So I sent them a letter. "Enjoy the party. You won't be seeing her again without a lawyer." I didn't grow up with a big family. It was just me, my mom, and my sister Tara. My dad left when I was little, and we never heard from him again. So when I married Jason, part of me liked the idea of marrying into a close family. He had parents who were still together, three aunts who lived nearby, a couple of cousins he saw all the time, even a grandmother who remembered everyone's birthday. It felt warm, like something I'd missed growing up. I was wrong. Everything changed after I gave birth. I delivered our daughter Ava at a hospital in Charleston, South Carolina. I labored for 31 hours. I tore bad. They had to stitch me up for over an hour after. I lost so much blood I couldn't stand, without almost passing out. But I had her. She was perfect, tiny, warm, and she looked right into me with these huge brown eyes. I thought, this is my family now. Not even 10 minutes later, the door opened, and the flood came. First his mom, then his dad, then his Aunt Doreen, Aunt Cheryl, Uncle Hank, two cousins, and Grandma Edna with her walker. I was still in the hospital bed. I hadn't even held Ava skin to skin yet. I was still bleeding. My gown was barely covering me. My legs were spread and sore. I hadn't brushed my teeth in 2 days. They barged in like it was a barbecue. Doreen looked at the baby, wrinkled her nose, and said, "Should have had a boy. Girls just drain you." Then she laughed. Jason chuckled. He said, Come on, Doreen." But he didn't look at me. His mom, Marla, stood near the forestand and said to Jason, "She's always been too fragile for a real labor." I just stared at the ceiling. I didn't have the strength to cry or scream or say anything. I remember the nurse asking, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And all I could do was nod. Jason didn't ask if I was okay. He was too busy passing Ava around to everyone like she was a gift he bought, not something that tore through my body and soul just hours ago. I laid there,
Numb.
leaking blood and milk, ignored. 2 days later, I was home. Jason's family wouldn't stop coming over. I'd wake up from a nap and find them in my kitchen, in my living room, holding Ava, without washing their hands. I told Jason I wasn't comfortable, that I needed rest, that I didn't want anyone kissing her yet. He rolled his eyes and said, "They're just excited." I couldn't sit down without crying. My stitches pulled with every step. I was bleeding through pads. My nipples were cracked and raw. I hadn't showered in 3 days. I was trying to figure out how to feed a newborn while my husband's Aunt Cheryl told me, "You should try formula, it's what we used, and my kids turned out just fine." Marla looked at me one night and said, "Postpartum is just an excuse to act selfish." That one stung. Jason didn't say a word. Then came the party. I found out from Facebook. A welcome baby Ava party at Marla's house. Pink decorations. A cake with Ava's name. 30 people in the photos. All holding my daughter. Jason came home that night like nothing had happened. I asked, "Why wasn't I invited?" He looked annoyed. "You're exhausted. It was just a thing for the family.
I didn't want you to stress."
I stared at him for a long time. Then I walked into the nursery, picked up Ava, and rocked her until he fell asleep on the couch. At 3:45 a.m., I packed a small duffel.
Diapers.
A blanket. My wallet. Ava's birth certificate. A copy of my medical records. A few baby clothes. That was it. I texted Tara, my sister. She was 2.5 hours away in Asheville. She said, "Come now." I left Jason a note on the kitchen counter. Not a long letter. Just one sentence. "Enjoy the party. You won't be seeing her again without a lawyer." Jason didn't respond at first. For 2 days, nothing. Not a text. Not a call. I figured he was sulking. Or maybe he thought I'd calm down and come back once I got over it. That was always his way, pretend nothing happened and wait for me to fold. But I didn't. I stayed with Tara. Her place wasn't big, just a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was quiet, peaceful. She set up a pack-and-play for Ava in the guest room and helped me with feedings. She made sure I ate. She didn't ask too many questions. She just held me when I broke down and told me I wasn't crazy, because I felt like I was losing my mind. 3 days after I left, Jason finally called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Calm voice, like he was talking to a coworker. Said he didn't appreciate being blindsided. Said we needed to be adults about this. Said his mother was heartbroken.
He didn't ask how I was.
Didn't ask how Ava was. He just talked about how they felt. Then came the messages from his mom, and Doreen, and even a couple of cousins, all through Facebook, all saying I was being cruel, that I was robbing them of their granddaughter. One said, "You're lucky Jason still wants you after the way you've acted." That one lit a fire in me. I blocked them all. Then I called a lawyer. I didn't have much money. I hadn't worked since I was 7 months pregnant, but I'd saved some, and Tara helped with the rest. The lawyer I found was a woman named Brenda, a mom of 3 who had been practicing family law in North Carolina and South Carolina for over 20 years. She listened. She didn't interrupt. And when I told her everything about the hospital, the party, the constant disrespect, she nodded slowly and said, "We can work with this." She helped me file for temporary custody. She filed a formal request for Jason to go through supervised visitation if he wanted to see Ava. She explained that, legally, I had every right to protect my daughter from an environment I believed was harmful. And I did believe that. I believed it with everything in me. Jason showed up a week later, in Asheville, at Tara's front door. He didn't knock gently. He banged like a cop. I was nursing Ava when Tara answered. He walked in like he owned the place, eyes locked on me. "You took my daughter," he said, jaw clenched. I looked at him, calm. "She's not a damn trophy," I said. "She's not your family's entertainment. She's my daughter. And I'm done pretending that's okay." "You're overreacting," he snapped. "You're emotional." Tara stepped between us. "She's postpartum, not stupid." Jason stared at me, then looked at Ava. Then he said, "You do this, you're blowing up the family. You'll regret it." I looked down at Ava. Her tiny fingers were wrapped around mine. "No," I said. "You blew it up. I'm just walking out of the fire."
He left,
slamming the door hard enough to shake the frames on the wall. Brenda filed a no-contact order that night, just to be safe. And then, something strange happened. A week later, I got a message, not from Jason. From his younger cousin, Sam. He was 19. I barely knew him. But the message said this: "You don't know the half of it. If you want proof, check the family group chat. Ask someone who still talks to you."
So I did.
I called my old college friend Megan. She was married to one of Jason's cousins. She'd always been kind to me. Quiet, but not cruel. She hesitated. Then she sent screenshots. And what I saw made my stomach turn. The screenshots Megan sent were from a private group chat called Harrison Family Core. It had Jason, his parents, all 3 of his aunts, and a few cousins in it. A bunch of messages were from the day Ava was born and the days after. I sat on the couch in Tara's apartment, holding my phone in one hand and my baby in the other, and I just stared. It started right after I gave birth. Jason had sent a message with Ava's photo, captioned, "She's here. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Mom's exhausted." She didn't take it well. Then his mom replied, "Not surprised.
She always seemed weak."
At least Ava's cute. Looks like our side. Thank God." Doreen chimed in. Good genes beat drama every time. I kept scrolling. The messages got worse. "Marla, we'll have to step up. She doesn't seem fit for motherhood. Cheryl, we should start making more decisions. She'll thank us later. Jason, she's already being overprotective. We'll handle it. She'll calm down. Hank, once she's home, just keep her out of the way. We'll raise the baby right. We'll raise the baby right. like I was some surrogate they were tolerating until they could take over. Then came the party. They planned it without me, on purpose. It was never just a casual thing. It was orchestrated. Marla, let's make this our real introduction. No drama, no hormones, just family.
Jason. Yeah.
She doesn't need to be there. She'll just stress everyone out. That line made my hands shake. But it was what I saw next that made me feel physically sick. One message from Marla for days before I left. If she acts up, we'll talk to a lawyer. Jason has more support. Judges like stability. They were planning to push me out. Jason wasn't shocked when I left. He was preparing for it. I called Brenda immediately. Sent her everything. She didn't even pause. We'll file for sole custody. You have documentation of emotional abuse, disregard for your physical recovery, and now evidence they were conspiring to undermine your rights as a mother. Tara walked in while I was crying on the phone. She sat beside me and said, "You're not going back, right?" I wasn't. Jason must have found out we were filing again because 2 days later, he sent flowers. And a card. The card said, "Let's be civil. We don't need to destroy each other." There was no "I'm sorry." No, I was wrong. No, I should have protected you. Just civility. For his sake. Then, he filed his own petition. For joint custody. He claimed I'd fled the marital home with intent to isolate the child from her paternal family. That's what his lawyer wrote. Brenda called it preemptive damage control. I called it exactly what it was, more manipulation. Then Megan messaged again. Check the chat.
Now.
I opened the latest screenshot. Jason's mother had posted a photo, one I hadn't seen before. It was of Ava, in the hospital, swaddled, held by Jason's aunt. In the background, I was lying in the bed, eyes closed, clearly in pain. The caption under the picture? Claiming she was exhausted, but look at this. Just milking it for sympathy. Underneath were laughing emojis. From Jason. From his aunts. From the grandmother. That was the moment I stopped crying. And I started planning something more than custody. I wanted them to feel it. To feel what it's like when the person you treat like nothing finally shows you how much they've been paying attention. I stopped waiting for justice. I decided to make it. Once I saw that photo, me, vulnerable, half-conscious, used for laughs, I knew being civil was no longer on the table.
They wanted to break me.
They wanted my baby. And they were willing to lie, mock, and gaslight to do it.
So I leaned in.
Brenda filed for emergency sole custody. She included the screenshots, the hospital records, the photo with the caption, and even statements from the hospital nurse who remembered me crying in the bathroom while Jason's family laughed in the hall. It was enough. The judge granted temporary sole custody. Jason got supervised visitation twice a month at a facility in Asheville. The first visit? He showed up 30 minutes late and blamed traffic. He brought nothing for Ava. Didn't hold her more than 5 minutes. Spent most of the hour complaining to the supervisor about how toxic I was. Then left early. He didn't show up for the second visit at all. 2 weeks later, I got a text from him. It said, "You win. I'm tired of fighting." But I didn't feel like I'd won. Not yet. See? Brenda had also helped me file a formal complaint against the hospital for failing to enforce visitation limits post-birth. And during that process, we got access to the hospital's internal footage. There was video of the moment Jason opened the door and waved his entire family in after the nurse told him only 2 visitors were allowed. There was footage of Marla walking in with a cake. A cake. I was still bleeding, couldn't walk yet, and she brought a cake like it was a damn birthday party. That footage became part of the custody hearing. But it also became something else, a legal liability. So we turned the screws. Brenda sent a warning to Jason's family, "Stop harassing me, or we'd pursue a civil case for emotional distress, unauthorized photography in a medical setting, and intentional infliction of harm." That photo Marla posted from the hospital? It had over 70 comments on Facebook before she took it down. I had screenshots of all of them. When she got the letter from Brenda's office, she called me. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, her voice shaking. "We didn't mean for it to go this far.
Please.
We just want to be part of Ava's life. Too late. Jason's aunts started dropping out one by one, blocking me, deleting old posts, pretending like none of it happened. But one cousin slipped. She messaged me drunk one night and said, "You were always too sensitive. That baby was lucky to have us." So I forwarded the message to Brenda. We added it to the file. Months passed. The custody battle slowed down, but I didn't. Ava was growing fast, sitting up, babbling, reaching for my face when I fed her. She was safe. She was loved. And she was never going to be raised by people who saw her mother as disposable. Then came the final hearing. Jason tried to look put together. Clean haircut. New suit. But the judge had seen everything. The texts. The chat logs. The photos. The missed visits. He didn't even fight that hard in the end. He asked for quarterly supervised visits. The judge said no. Full custody went to me. Jason was allowed one supervised visit every 6 months. No overnight stays. No unsupervised calls. And only after he completed parenting classes and therapy. Marla, and the rest of them, legally barred from contact unless I gave written permission. Which I never did. I thought that would be the end. But a month later, Tara found something online. A new Facebook post from Marla set to public, probably by mistake. It said, "We lost everything because of one weak girl. Jason's life is ruined. That child will grow up twisted." I didn't get angry. I printed it out, framed it, hung it in Ava's room, as a reminder, not of hate, but of strength, of what it means to be a mother, of what I survived, and of the war I won. Not because I was cruel, but because I stopped letting myself be made small. They made their choices. I made mine. And every night, when I rock my daughter to sleep, I know which side of that courtroom she'll be proud to stand on one day.
Meaning?
Always mine.